Team Passenger. What is going on? Thank you guys for being here with CBR today at New York Comic Con. Welcome. So I'm really excited to talk about this series. I was just telling you guys off camera how much I'm digging it so far. But just to clear it up for people out there, this is not a sequel or prequel to the Chris Pratt, Jennifer Lawrence movie Passengers. It is not.
Definitely
not. No.
We didn't see him.
Yeah. Okay.
Or her.
Good. No, they do. That's like a thing they do. They add an S to something for the sequel or the prequel. You know, like Twister and then Twisters. Just to confuse it. So when I saw Passengers, the first thing I thought. But no, who wants to set up the premise for us? Like, who is Passenger and where are they going?
I feel like the audience is the passenger for sure.
Yeah, audience is the passenger. Passenger relates to several things, I guess, in the show. Passenger may or may not relate to something that may be inside the bread truck at the very beginning. Passenger may also relate on a maybe more philosophical level to that sense of in life who feels like they're in the driving seat and who feels like they're just being carried along. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. So it relates to various different things. Yeah.
No, like I said, there's a lot of intrigue here. It feels like there's a lot of layers that are going to be peeled apart watching this series. Wunmi and Barry, can you guys set up your characters a little bit for us?
Sure. I play Ria Junwa. She is a police officer. She moved to Cheddar Vale like five years ago. 5 years ago when she threw this guy's ass in jail. She came from the London Met Police and she moved up to Cheddar with her then husband and feels like a bit of a big fish in a small pond, and she's kind of filled with a lot of frustration and questions about Cheddar. She's always saying there is something up with this town, and she just wants to figure it out. There's like a pit in her stomach, and there's a rumbling in the ground, and she's like, can no one else hear that? Like, can we all pay attention and try and figure out what is up here? She's someone who I feel like does feel very lost. Like, I think one of the themes of the show is like belonging or not feeling like you belong, and who gets to feel like they belong. And I feel like there's a part of her that really that thinks that she really shouldn't be there. But it's really her fear, and that's another theme of the show is fear and what we all do with it, whether we face it, we hide from it, or we, I don't know, do something else with it. I don't know. But she definitely is too afraid to look in, I think, and too afraid of being a small fish in a big pond. And she, instead of looking in, because that's too scary, she looks out and finds all the things that she can fix or like with the town. But she's kind of ultimately intrigued by it. But yeah, she's searching herself too, I think.
How about you, Barry?
I play a guy called Eddie Wells, who, when we pick up the story, he's been sentenced to 15 years in prison. He's been released after 5 for a very heinous crime upon a member of the community. He's been put away by Ria. Thank you, yeah. Just on the day he's been released, his daughter's gone missing as well, so there's those things. He is referred to as the monster coming back to the village. He's the person who's kind of blamed, or the eyes are upon when something goes wrong. In some ways, that's a positive for him, because in a small place like Cheddar, having a sense of identity, or at least being somebody, is important. I know that kind of where I grew up, like a family name was important because it gave you some kind of credence or existence. And so he likes to be noticed in that sense, but at the same time he's hiding behind all these tattoos in his hair and this, this emo bravado, which I quite enjoyed playing. And he's at the midst of crisis, be it the town's or his own, and we kind of get mixed up in both at the same time, as with everyone.
Andy, you're previously best known as an actor. You wrote and created this. Tell us a little bit about its origins and your inspirations for it.
Oh, goodness. You got an hour or a list? So I grew up in a town called Bolton, which is not far from Manchester and Liverpool in the northwest of England. And what you realise growing up there is that there's a definite warmth to the communities there, to the people. There's a magic to them, and there's a togetherness in their spirit, ready to face anything come what may. And that's always kind of intrigued me, the way people kind of huddle around kind of fires in pubs, and no matter how desperate or dark the struggle, they flatten it with wit, and they tell stories as a way of making light of life. And so I wanted to create a fictional northern community and puncture it with something obscure and otherworldly that would detonate as much wit as possible and push their reactions to the limit.
Okay.
So it was an exploration of that. But these communities often have a back catalogue of traditional explanations for everything. So I wanted to explore, what if that particular page in your back catalogue was missing? What if you really hadn't seen anything like this before? A small, grounded community coming up against a giant unknown.
But you are not acting in this. You're
No.
you're Jordan Peeling it, basically. Yes.
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 There wasn't a vehicle for me in any way, shape, or form. I think maybe moons ago, one of the execs was like, "And are you going to be in it?" But they asked it with a very deep, furrowed brow, as if to say, "I don't think there was a part for you." I was like, "No, definitely not for me. No, nothing."
Yeah. How would you guys characterize the tone of this? Because I went into it, and just what I knew about it was like, I feel like this is going to be like Fargo-esque, but then and you were kind of teasing this in your answer. There's something sort of lurking in the background.
Yeah,
that throws those sort of expectations. Out the door a little
you
bit.
kind of hit the nail on the head there with, I guess, my influences. I've always been drawn to those shows that lure us into a sense of the familiar and then slap us with something unknown. So shows like Ben Mendelsohn's The Outsider, or Fargo, or True Detective, or The OA, or Stranger Things. One of the greatest scenes on television, in my view, is that final scene of the recent series of Fargo. I don't know if you've seen it. When,
not to
spoiler
that point.
alert, when that couple invite that person or that thing who was born in I don't know what century to stay with them for dinner and maybe have waffles or whatever, is just one of the best written scenes I've come across. It's traditional, cozy, comforting meets something unknown and horrific, and they're sat around a dinner table.
Okay.
Now I need to watch that.
I know, right?
It's a phenomenal scene. It's phenomenal.
I mean,
It's better than that.
I mean, like when you guys come on board a series like this as actors, like how much, obviously first and foremost you're concentrating on your character, but how many conversations are you having with Andy over sort of finding the tone of the larger piece in general,
I came on quite early. Well, I read like the first draft, and did I read the first draft? Or yeah. And Andy kind of, we spoke about Rhea, and really we spoke about our lives to each other one day, and he was saying, "Oh, I'm writing this thing, and actually maybe you would be good in this thing," and and that's how I kind of came on board. So, but I don't, I didn't come on like an executive producer or anything like that. I got the scripts as they came, and thankfully we got rehearsals, which is really like unheard of. So we really got to dig deep into and really ask the questions of like, why is she here? Like, what is she afraid of? What are we all afraid of? We got to ask those questions over a 2-week rehearsal. And so then everything kind of was just like digging deeper and deeper into, and like through osmosis, like getting closer and closer to each character and this world.
I think something interesting that I wanted to do with Eddie, aside from kind of what was on, is I kind of wanted to make it a bit of a homage to the bad boy, the bad guy role. So I kind of didn't want to, like, in the conversations I had with hair and makeup and costume, was that I kind of wanted them to feel timeless. So there's elements of 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000 emo right the way in there. So there was like familiarity of this, like a kind of, like we were saying before, like, oh yeah, I know this. I don't know what era he's from, but I kind of know how this character should play out, and then we can just go boom, or turn it that way, or put the handbrake on and spin it the other way. And that's something I really enjoyed with this, was kind of tipping my hat to the traditional, and then, which is what you've done so brilliantly with the script, is, oh, you think you know this? Well, we're going to go here now.
Yeah.
How's that way?
Finally, I mean, there's so much good British television that doesn't necessarily always make it over stateside. You know, some of the stuff you really have to seek out and you have to hunt. But I want to just take a moment to give a shout to your distributor, because I think they're really looking for they're taking an innovative way to change that. It's called BritBox. Tell us like what kind of partner they've been for you guys thus far.
Phenomenally generous and understanding and creative, and there at every step of the way, at like every different script or part of a script that I submitted, they were there and part of the discussion, and very, very kind of constructive about it, and wholeheartedly wanted to buy into the magic of it and the themes of it and the unknownness of it. And yeah, they've been unbelievably supportive.
If you're watching this, check out Passenger on BritBox. You guys, thank you so much for being with us here on CBR.